once you've got your presentation put together with the slides and the content and formatted, you probably want to add some form of animation, some movement. Now this can add great impact to a presentation. Let's look at the two types of animations, the built-in animation and also being able to customize the animation with some advanced animation techniques. You can see we've got our main title slide here, and we want to add some animation to our main title, Company Open Day. Now to do this, the first thing we need to do is to go to a ribbon bar called Animations. We click on that. Now if ever you come onto the animations, you see that it's all grayed. That's because you need to tell the program what do you want to animate. Now you can animate text boxes, photographs, clip arts, charts, drawings, almost anything that's an object in PowerPoint. So first of all, let's just select our Company Open Day, and there you can see the box is showing. And if we look on our ribbon bar, we can see we have these options of how we want the item to appear. Now you have standard ones in here. We can do float in, split, and you'll notice as you click on these it gives you a sample of the animation. Now for example, what if I want this to fade in? If I choose fade, it gives me that fade in. Now you'll notice also that it's put a little number tag next to it. That's to say this is the first animation on here. Now among all of these presets, if I was to click on the drop down arrow, I have other options in the animation. You'll notice this top section is the entrance, this is the emphasis, and this is the exit. So you can now apply multiple animations to the same object. So at the moment, if I select our text box, we've applied a fade. Now if I want to put an emphasis on this, so once it's faded in I want to emphasize it in some way, do not use one of these here, because if you use one of these it will replace what you've already done. Bear that in mind. It's one of the most common mistakes people make. So what you need to do is to look over here, and you'll see there's a button called Add Animation. When you click on the drop down, it shows you the animations just like you saw across the top here on the ribbon. There's my entrance, emphasis. Now remember, by choosing one of these, I'm adding it to the previous one. So let's say for example I want to let's choose one to spin. Okay, so it does a spin. Now one of the things about this is you can see I've now got a second tab. I've got 1 and 2. That's what I just put on there. I then want it to then exit the slide. So once again we go to Add Animation, and if we scroll down here we can see we have a collection of animations for exit: disappear, fade, fly out. So we can use one of these. Let's say for example zoom, and let's zoom out. You can now see those 3 animations are labelled here. Now to see this in real time, although you have a preview button over at the far left, it's always worth to watch it in real time, and to do that you need to run the presentation. Remember from previous courses we can hit the F5 key on the keyboard. If I hit F5 it runs the presentation. You can see it's waiting for me to hit a key on my keyboard or click a mouse to run the first animation. There's the fade in. It then sits there waiting for me to hit another key, any key, to then play the second animation, which if you remember was the emphasis, where it spins round. And then the third animation is where it then zooms out. And that's the 3 animations. We'll hit the escape key to come back. And there's the 3 animations. But what if I want to edit the speed, the timing, and how it begins? Everything we're doing with the animations is up here. At the moment I'm on number 3. I want to go to the first animation, and you just click on these little number tabs here. It was a fade, and we get an option here, effect options. Now on this particular effect, the fade, we don't have any other options, and we're going to show you this on other animations, but this one just says as one object. But then I come over here and it says, how do you want this animation to start? Now we had on click. That means it will wait for me to hit a key or a mouse button to start the animation. It tells me the duration of the fade, 50th of a second, and the delay, 0. That means that when I click or hit a key, it will play immediately. Now I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave that as it is. But I want the second animation, the emphasis, so I come over here and I click on the number 2. You can now see that it's showing me which animation I added, which was spin. The effect options on this one gives me how much of a turn it does. Does it do a full spin, a half spin, clockwise, counterclockwise? Now I'm happy with the settings on there, but over here on the start I want it to be automatic. So if we click on the drop down, we have 3 options: on click, which waits for us to click a button. We have with previous and after previous. With previous means that if I chose that, the spinning will start at the same time as the fading. I don't want that. I actually want it to start after the previous animation has finished playing. So I'm going to choose after previous. Now you'll see there's no delay. In other words, as soon as it's faded in, it will spin. Actually, I want it to wait about a second, so I'm just going to increase the time to about 1 second delay. You'll now see that because my second animation was associated with the first animation, they're bundled together. I then click on this number 2, which is my exit one. There it is, zoom. I get some effect options, object center, slide center on there. So I'll keep it as object. I'm happy with that. But then I want this to be after previous, and I think I'll wait 2 seconds before it disappears. Because all 3 animations are controlled by 1 click, you'll see that they're now bunched together. Now you're probably saying, well, how do I make changes to them or alter things like the order or even delete them? Well, if you click on one of these little tabs now, it brings up this little animation pane here. And there you can see are your 3 animations. They start from the top and work their way down. Sometimes you might have added 20 or 30 of these animations down here, so it can get quite busy in this animation pane. If we preview this now, hitting F5, remember I only have to hit the key once to start all 3 animations. So we hit the key, it's going to fade in, it waits 1 second, then does 1 spin, waits 2 seconds, and then fades out. And that's your basic animation. Now the animation pane can come in useful if you want to customize and be more adventurous with your animation techniques. And we're going to look at that now using some advanced animation. Here we got a couple of boxes that we've drawn, and what we want is for one of them to come in. We then want a line drawn across the screen and then this second box to appear automatically. So I've got my two boxes, but I do want to draw a line. So from the insert menu, we use the shapes. I choose the line drawing tool, and to draw here I want to go from this little handle here. I'm then going to click and drag to draw the line across, and I'm actually going to go to the far right of this shape, and you'll see why in a moment. I then want to change this. I want to change the thickness, so I'm going to go to shape outline, choose the weight, and I'm going to thicken this up a lot more. And I also want to maybe change the colour. No, I leave the colour as it is. So there we've got this line going across. Now you're going to see why I drew the line to the far right in a moment. We now have three objects that I want to animate. We select the first one, the first object. We go to our animations ribbon and we can choose an animation on here. Now let's just say, for example, we'll get this to float in. Okay, so it just floats in like that. It's put the number in there to say it's the first animation. You'll also see it appear in the animation pane. Then when I'm ready for the next animation, I want to control it myself. So I'm going to select the horizontal line I drew, and I'm going to put in a wipe. I want to give the illusion that I'm drawing this line from left to right, so I choose wipe. Now at this point the wipe is going in the wrong direction, so remember we have this effect options button here, and I'm going to say from left. I then want to change the speed, so we come over to here, and remember we have this duration. Now I want it to take a bit longer to draw. Okay, so maybe it takes just under 2 seconds to draw that line, so it'll be slowly drawn across. The third animation I want to be automated once that line has finished drawing. So if I click on the third shape and I then want to add a split, first of all I want the split to open out, so I'm going to go to the effect options and choose horizontal out. The illusion I want to give here is once the line is finished drawing, I want it to appear that the box is stretching outwards from that line. Now I don't want it to be on click, I want it to be after previous at 0 second delay. Okay, so this is your controlling here. Right, so that's what we've got on there. Now to see all of this work, if we hit the F5, in fact, just a tip here, because I want to preview this from the slide that I'm currently working on, F5 will run the presentation but always from the beginning. So I want to start it from here, so I do Shift F5. So I hold my Shift key down on the keyboard and hit F5. So the animation should be that when I hit a key we should see the first box float in, which it does. During the presentation you deliver your lines, and then you want the second animation to start. Now remember, when I hit the key, two things are going to happen. A line is going to draw from left to right, and then out of that line is going to expand the second box automatically. Here we go. And there it is. And that's a custom animation that you can build, and you can add as many animations to an object as you like.